Aha. All right, all right, all right. So, good evening to you. How are you? Let's just say good evening. First things first, you know how we do. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody. And of course, we're not over here making fun of anyone which doesn't infringe on the copyright of the copyright holder under Section 17 USC 107. And then also, just so that we know where we are, family, we have to keep our heads down and our hands up. Continuing to pray, men ought always to pray, speaking to themselves in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. And so we must continue always to stay before our Father, remaining accountable and staying humble. We must also remember that we need to search these scriptures daily. And that's one of the things that we're doing right here in this series is we're searching these scriptures and we're reading out of the books. And that's what we want to do tonight is search these scriptures, keep them out in front of us. We need that. Most definitely need to keep these scriptures out in front of us. So many different things are going on out in the world, Mishpachah. Someone gave me something. Okay, so we've got some audio back. For whatever reason, the audio dropped out on us. This technology is not our technology. It's fallen into technology, but we're going to do what we can do to make it work. So anyway, Mishpachah, again, I was saying that we had an individual that was working with us. And the reason why I'm saying is that we have to keep this stuff out in front of us. Individual was working with us. She ended up moving away. And we found out here recently that she's going to be sentenced. Her sentence could be anywhere from 40 years to life because she has taken a couple of lives and injured others, driving while intoxicated or driving under the influence, which is really, really sad because one of the people that perished in that automobile accident was a young Hebrew. And it's really, really sad. But, it is what it is. And this is why we have to keep the scriptures out in front of us because we don't know when our time is going to be. We don't know when those individuals are going to set us up to take our lives. And so we must maintain our accountability to the Most High, read these scriptures, and keep our prayer out in front of us so that we can stay safe. So, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to go back into reading Tobit and looking at the rest of what that is. And we also have the e-sword out in front of us. So if you have your e-sword, please use your e-sword. We also have the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, which will be going back and forth between those two. So we got the e-sword we'll be using. You can get your e-sword out. We can do that. We got the Hebrew Israelite scriptures we'll be using. You can get your Hebrew Israelite scriptures out. and we'll be doing that as well. So we're in chapter 3 is where we are over here now in Tobit, the book of Tobit. And so we want to start reading from there. And I hope you have everything and you're ready. We are going to get going on that here momentarily. But again, stay prayerful. We have a lot of different people who are getting caught up in this hour in these last days, and we don't want to get caught up in this hour in these last days. We want to stay as accountable as we can stay, because it's just too easy right now to get pulled off. If you think that you can't get pulled off, just look at what's happening with all of the celebrities who are around us and high-powered individuals, these Weinsteins and Epsteins and all these other Steins or Steens or whatever you want to say, and see how the judgment is coming down, because it is starting to come down. And it's happening in a way where when the net is cast, you're fishing for tuna, but you're going to bring in a lot of different fish along with that tuna. So you just want to make sure that you're not one of the fish that get caught up in the net, because swimming down, trying to break the net it's not going to happen these days. You're going to get brought up in the net, and you're probably going to be persecuted right along with the rest of the fish. And so that's just something that we need to look forward to and pay attention to, that we don't get caught up into those things. And keeping this word out in front of us helps to protect us from that. The Father and the Ruach keeps us from being caught up, see, because we won't get caught unawares if we keep our head in this book and keep the Most High out in front of us. So it's a sad thing. I was just thinking about that, and I wanted to bring that to you. And let's get into Tobit. How about that? Let's just get into Tobit. Okay. So look here. We already saw that Tobit was initially Tobit was going around Nineveh because they were in captivity, and he was finding his brethren being killed about the city, and he was gathering them up, and he was giving them proper burials. And in doing so, he ended up losing quite a bit when the king and others found out what he was doing, and then he had to be on the run for his life. But he had put some money away in another place, and he finds himself coming home after he had been restored. He got his wife back, and he got his son back after Sennacherib died, and his nephew had vouched for him with the new king, and so he was able to come back. Sitting against the wall in the courtyard of his house, some swallows had up on the wall had defecated, and some of their dung had fallen into his eyes, and it made his eyes blind. And so one thing that I found out that I wasn't paying attention to the first time I read through was how long he had been blind. He had been blind for about 8 years before he got his sight back. So we're going to pick it up in chapter 3 of Tobit, and we'll start out with the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, and we'll go in it from there, okay? So here we are at the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, chapter 3. Then I, being grieved, did weep, and in my sorrow prayed, saying, O Yehovah, thou art just, and all thy works and all thy ways are mercy and truth, and thou judgest truly and justly forever. Remember me, and look on me. Punish me not for my sins and ignorances, and the sins of my fathers who have sinned before me. For they obeyed not thy commandments, wherefore thou hast delivered us for a spoil, and unto captivity, and unto death, and for a proverb and a reproach to all the heathen among whom we are dispersed. And now thy judgments are many and true. Deal with me according to my sins and my fathers, because we have not kept thy commandments, neither have we walked in truth before thee. Now therefore deal with me as seemeth best unto thee, and command my ruach to be taken from me, that I may be dissolved and become earth. For it is profitable for me to die rather than to live, because I have heard false reproaches, and have much sorrow. Command therefore that I may now be delivered out of this distress, and go into the everlasting place. Turn not thy face away from me. It came to pass the same day that in Ecbatane, a city of Madai, Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was also reproached by her father's maids, because she had been married to 7 husbands, whom Ashmedai, the evil Ruach, had killed before they had lain with her. And so we see that this individual had 7 husbands. Okay, we're going to slide this over and then move up. So she had 7 husbands. Let's go back down here so we can pick up the object and the thought right here. Dost thou not know, that's where that was, dost thou not know, said they, that thou hast strangled thine husbands? So this is the maids telling her that it's for her fault that her husbands are dead. Thou hast had already 7 husbands, neither was thou named after any of them. Wherefore dost thou beat us for them? If they be dead, go thy ways after them. Let us never see of thee either son or daughter. So when she heard these things, she was very sorrowful, so that she thought to have strangled herself. And she said, I am the only daughter of my father, and if I do this, it shall be a reproach unto him, and I shall bring his old age with sorrow to the grave. Then she prayed toward the window, and said, Blessed art thou, O Jehovah, my Elohim. Thine holy and glorious name is blessed and honorable forever. Let thy works praise thee forever. And now, O Jehovah, I set mine eyes and my face toward thee, and say, Take me out of the earth, that I may hear no more reproach. Thou knowest, Jehovah, that I am pure from all sin with man, and that I never polluted my name, nor the name of my father in the land of my captivity. For I am the only daughter of my father, neither hath he any child to be his heir, neither any near kinsman, nor any son of his alive, to whom I may keep myself for a wife. My 7 husbands are already dead, and why should I live? But if it please not thee that I should die, command some regard to be had for me, and pity taken of me, that I hear no more reproach. So the prayers of them both were heard before the majesty of the great Elohim, and Raphael was sent to heal them both, that is, to scale away the whiteness of Tobiah's eyes, and to give Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, for a wife to Tobiah, the son of Tobiah, the son of Tobiah, and to bind Ashmedai, the evil spirit, or the evil Ruach, because she belonged to Tobiah by right of inheritance. The selfsame time came Tobiah home, and entered into his house, and Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, came down from her upper chamber. Okay? So, looking at that in the Hebrew scriptures, and the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, let's take a swing at that from the east sword and see if we can get a different look at it. Okay? So then I, being grieved, hold on here. Yeah, there we go. And then I, being grieved, did weep, and in my sorrow prayed, saying, O Lord, thou art just, and all thy works and all thy ways are mercy and truth, and thou judgest truly and justly forever. Remember me and look on me. Punish me not for my sins and ignorances and sins of my fathers who have sinned before thee. For they obeyed not thy commandments, wherefore thou hast delivered us for a spoil, and unto captivity and unto death, for a proverb and reproach unto all nations among whom we are dispersed. Remember, they went into captivity in Nineveh. Okay, and there's something else that I saw in here. And now thy judgments are many and true. Deal with me according to my sins and my fathers, because we have not kept thy commandments, neither have we walked in truth before thee. Now therefore deal with me as seemeth best unto thee, and command my spirit to be taken from me, that I may be dissolved and become earth. For it is profitable for me to die rather than to live, because I have heard false reproaches, and have much sorrow. Command therefore that I now be delivered out of this distress, and go into the everlasting place. Turn not thy face away from me. Remember, 2nd Esdras 7:21, talking about what happens to the soul when it leaves the body. That whole conversation in 2nd Esdras is about the everlasting place. So we're saying, you remember in the scriptures, the Father said we'll turn a person over to Satan for the destruction of the body in order to save the soul. So that everlasting place is spoken of, Tobit 3:7. And it came to pass the same day that in Ecbatane, a city of Media, Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was also reproached by her father's maids, because she had been married to 7 husbands, whom Asmodeus, so we had a different name over on the other side, Asmodeus, the evil spirit, had killed. So Asmodeus was killing her husbands. Therefore, before they had lain with her, dost thou not know, said they, that thou hast strangled thine husbands? Thou hast had already 7 husbands, and neither wast thou named after any of them. Wherefore dost thou beat us for them? If they be dead, go thy way after them. They're telling her to if your husbands are dead, you die too. Let us never see of thee either son or daughter. When she heard these things, she was very sorrowful, so that she thought to have strangled herself. So she was considering killing herself or suicide. And she said, I'm the only daughter of my father, and if I do this, if I kill myself, it shall be a reproach unto him, and I shall bring his old age with sorrow unto the grave. Then she prayed toward the window, and said, Blessed art thou, O Lord my God, and thine holy and glorious name is blessed and honorable forever. Let all thy works praise thee forever. And now, O Lord, I set mine eyes and my face toward thee, and I say, Take me out of the earth, dissolve me, that I may hear no more reproach. Thou knowest, Lord, that I am pure from all sin and man, and I have never polluted my name, nor the name of my father. In the land of my captivity, I am the only daughter of my father, neither hath he any child to be his heir, neither any near kinsman, nor any son of his alive, to whom I may keep myself for a wife. My 7 husbands are already dead, and why should I live? But if it please not thee that I should die, command some regard to be had of me, and pity taken of me, that I hear no more reproach. She needed a husband. She needed a man. And Raphael was sent to heal them both. Raphael is an angel. That is, to scale away the whiteness of Tobit's eyes, and to give Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, for a wife to Tobias, the son of Tobit, and to bind Asmodeus, the evil spirit, because she belonged to Tobias by right of inheritance. The self-same time came Tobit home and entered into his house, and Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, came down from her upper chamber. So she was in the upper chamber praying, and he was outside praying. And both of them had prayed a very similar prayer. Okay, and let's go here. That's Tobias 3, Tobias 4, or Tobit 4. How about that? In that day, Tobit remembered the money which he had committed to Gavael and Rajas of Media, and said with himself, I have wished for death, wherefore do I not call for my son Tobias, that I may signify to him of the money before I die? And when he had called him, he said, My son, when I am dead, bury me, and despise not thy mother, but honor her all the days of thy life, and do that which shall please her, and grieve her not. Remember, my son, that she saw many dangers for thee when thou wast in her womb, and when she is dead, bury her by me in one grave. My son, be mindful of the Lord our God all thy days, and let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress his commandments. Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness. For if thou deal truly, thy doings shall prosperously succeed to thee, and to all them that live justly. Give alms of thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious, neither turn thy face from any poor, and the face of God shall not be turned away from thee. If thou hast abundance, give alms accordingly. If thou have but a little, be not afraid to give according to that little. For thou layest up a good treasure for thyself in the day of, let me see. For thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity, because that alms do deliver from death, and suffereth not to come into darkness. For alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the sight of the Most High. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. I think that's a place where we struggle with today, right? Trying to find, I mean, there's 12 different tribes. Just find one from your, it says, find one of your father's tribe. And we don't know which tribes we're from, so we just have to stay within the nation. Tobit 4:13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, in not taking a wife of them, for in pride is destruction and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want, for lewdness is the mother of famine. So he's saying marrying outside of the nation is going to cause you problems. Let not the wages of any man which hath wrought for thee or worked for thee tarry with thee, but give it to him out of hand. For if thou serve God, he will also repay thee. Be circumspect, my son, in all things thou doest, and be wise in all thy conversation. Tobit 4:15. Do that to no man which thou hatest. Drink not wine to make thee drunken, neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey. Give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked, and according to thine abundance give alms. And let not thine eyes be envious when thou givest alms. Pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked. And I think that's where we have a problem today. We're trying to be all things to all people, and you can have a wicked person, and they want to tell you this wicked person lived a godly life. He was a man after God's own heart, but he lived wickedly, right? And they want to put him in the ground and say he's going to heaven. He's looking down on us, but that's not what this is. Put out thy bread to the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked. Tobit 4:18. Ask counsel of all that are wise, and despise not any counsel that is profitable. Bless the Lord thy God always, and desire of him that thy ways may be directed, and all thy paths and counsels may prosper. For every nation has not counsel, but the Lord himself giveth all good things, and he humbleth whom he will, as he will. Now therefore, my son, remember my commandments, neither let them be put out of your mind. And now I signify this, to they that I committed 10 talents to Gabriel, the son of Gabrias in rages of Media. And fear not, my son, that we were made poor, but thou hast much wealth. If thou fear God and depart from all sin and do that which is pleasing in his sight. So he was telling him that, it seems like we're broke right now, but you have a lot of money you don't know about it. So he says, fear not, my son, that we were made poor. And he was made poor because, remember, the king was chasing him down, and they took all his belongings. So he had to work his way back with a little bit, and that's what I was saying earlier, that for people who have had it, it's not hard for them to get it again. Once they know how to make $1 million, if they lose $1 million, stock market or what have you, or whatever happens, they know how to get that those resources, and get that again. Once you've attained a certain level of financial stability, you know how to get back to that if you are ever broken all the way down. So we know how to. We pulled ourselves up before by our bootstraps, and we've been broken. I've been homeless, and I know how to work my way out of that because I've done it before. So it's a little difficult, but for the person who's never had that happen, it can be difficult for them to try to work their way out of that and come back, work their way back. And for people who were born with the silver spoon in their mouth, for them to lose everything, they'd rather jump out of the 32nd store window than to be broke. But they've never lived like we had to live, so we know how to make those little things matter, and we know how to make those ends meet. And Grandma used to say, rob Peter to pay Paul. But basically she was saying, we know how to make it work and turn it all around. And that's the main thing. That's the main thing. We know how to make it work and turn it all around. So we're going to move into Tobit 5. And, I went through this whole thing tonight, and it just really, really, kind of blew my mind as I got through it all and broke it all down. All right, so now we're going to go into Tobit 5. You ready? Let's go. Tobit 5:1. And then answered and said, Tobias, I'm sorry. Tobias then answered and said, Father, I will do all things which thou hast commanded me. But how can I receive the money, seeing I know him not? And then he gave him the handwriting, and said unto him, Seek thee a man which may go with thee whilst I yet live, and I will give him wages, and go and receive the money. Therefore he went to seek a man, and he found Raphael, that was an angel. But he knew not, that he didn't know that Raphael was an angel. And he said unto him, Canst thou go with me to Rages? And knowest thou those places well? And to whom the angel said, I will go with you, and I know the way well, for I have lodged with our brother Gabriel. So Gabriel is where he's going. He just doesn't, Tobias doesn't know that. Then Tobias said unto him, Tarry for me, and I will tell my father, or wait for me, and I'll tell my father. And then he said unto him, Go and tarry not. So he went in, and he told him, so go in the house, but don't stay in there, just go and tell your daddy, let's go. So he went in, and he said to his father, Behold, I have found one which will go with me. And then he said, Call him unto me, that I may know of what tribe he is, and whether he be a trusty man to go with thee. So he called him, and he came in, and they saluted one another. Then Tobit said unto him, Brother, show me of what tribe and family thou art. To whom he says, Dost thou seek a tribe, or a family, or an hired man to go with thy son? Then Tobit said unto him, I would know, brother, thy kindred and name. And then he said, I am Azarias, the son of Ananias, the great, and of thy brother. So you see what happened here? We have a messenger dealing in deception, right? So people will say that an angel is not supposed to lie. This is Raphael, but he had to hide behind this because he's undercover. No one's supposed to know he's an angel. See, Tobias didn't know he was an angel or a messenger, we'll say. Tobias didn't know this, but Raphael said that he was Azarias, the son of Ananias the great, and of thy brethren. So he was of the nation. 5:13. Then Tobit said, Thou art welcome, brother. Be not now angry with me, because I have inquired to know thy tribe and thy family. For thou art my brother of an honest and good stock. For I know Ananias and Jonathas, sons of the great Semaías, who went together to Jerusalem to worship, and offered the firstborn and tenths of their fruits. And they were not seduced with the error of our brother. My brother, thou art of good stock. You see, Nineveh was a wicked city. And when the Hebrews got there, they started partaking in a lot of the wickedness that was going on in Nineveh. And so Tobit was looking for someone who had not fallen to the ways of the people in Nineveh and was still walking in the counsel of the Most High by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So when you were of good stock, you were someone who were still of a family that was still keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Tobit 5:14. But tell me, what wages shall I give thee? Wilt thou a drachm a day? And things necessary as to my own son. So a drachm, I don't know what the monetary value of that is, but he's asking him, is this amount a day? Will that work for you? And the things that are necessary that take care of my son, like the food and everything else. So we'll take care of your per diem, your food and your bedding. Is these wages enough? Is basically what he's saying. Yea, moreover, if you return safe, I will add something to thy wages. So they were well pleased. Then said he to Tobias, Prepare thyself for the journey, and God send you a good journey. And when his son had prepared all things for the journey, his father said, Go thou with this man, and God, which dwelleth in heaven, prosper your journey, and the angel of God keep you company. So they went forth, and the young man's dog went with them. So Tobias had a dog. Okay? So the young man had a dog, and he's strolling off with Azarias, whom is actually Raphael, but he just doesn't know it. So his father's telling him that, you go with this man, and the angel of the Lord go with you, but he doesn't know he's strolling with the angel. Okay? 5:17. But Anna, his mother, wept and said to Tobit, Why hast thou sent away our son? Is he not the staff of our hand in going in and out before us? Be not greedy to add money to money, but let it be as refuse in respect of our child. In other words, she's like, don't look, he's all we have. We don't need this money. Don't be greedy. We just keep our son and we need him. You're blind. You can't work. We need him. We need him. He's, right now we need him to hold the house together. You're going to send away all we have? He's our only son, is what she's basically saying to him. 5:19. For that which the Lord hath given us to live with does suffice us. What we have is enough. And then said Tobit to her, Take no care, my sister. He shall return safely. In other words, don't be worried. He'll return to safety, and thine eyes shall see him. For the good angel will keep him company, and his journey shall be prosperous, and he shall return safe. Then she made an end of weeping. So she was sitting there crying because she thought that, she was losing her son. He was going away. And for good reason, she should be, worried about that. I mean, after everything they've been through, they were in captivity and had been in captivity. Her husband is blind. He can't work. She's having to take women's work, doing everything she can to try to support the family, and then he sends the son away. And of course, that's going to grieve the mother, right? So, Tobit 6. So we started with 3. We're 3 chapters in. All right. Let's go to Tobit 6:1. Let's get that. Okay. And Tobit 6:1. As they went on their journey, they came in the evening to the river Tigris, and they lodged there. And when the young man went down to wash himself, a fish leaped out of the water and would have devoured him. And the angel said to him, "Take the fish." And the young man laid hold on the fish and drew it to land. Now, here's my thing. Here's where I am. What kind of fish jumped out of the water that would have devoured him? That's what I'm saying. What kind of fish was that? A fish. See, we can't eat fish because right now they're keeping the laws. We can't eat a fish without scales and fins. So what kind of fish back then leapt out of the water that would have devoured him? I mean, that's what the scripture says right here, that it would have devoured him. So let's see how that looks in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. Okay, let's see how that looks over here in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. So let's see. Let me get over there and let's look at that again. And let's look at this again. Let's look at it right here. And let me bring that over for you to see. Okay, let's go here. And as they went on their journey, they came in the evening to the river Tigris, and they lodged there. And when the young man went down to wash himself, a fish leapt out of the river, and would have devoured him. I have to do some research to find out what kind of fish that was, or if that fish is even talked about. Because I'm a fisherman. I go fishing. I have not run across a fish that would have devoured me. Now, remember, they couldn't have been eating a shark. It has to have fish. It has to have scales and fins, because they ate this fish. We're going to see that in a minute. Then the angel said to him, "Take the fish." And the young man laid hold of the fish and drew it to land. And when the angel said, "Open the fish, take the heart and the liver and the gall, and put them up safely." So the young man did as the angel commanded him. And when they had roasted the fish, see, you can't eat it unless it has scales and fins. So they roasted the fish, and they did eat it. And they both went on their way till they drew near to Ecbatane. Then the young man said to the angel, "Brother Azariah, of what use is the heart and the liver and the gall of the fish?" Okay, so now we're about to get into some of the reasons why he had to pull this gall out of the fish and go this route. So he's asking the angel now, what was the purpose of doing this? What was that all about? Why are we doing this? And the angel's going to let him know. Okay, and so when we get into Tobit 6:6, the young man said to the angel, "Brother Azariah, to what use is the heart and the liver and the gall of the fish?" And he said unto him, touching the heart and the liver, well, talking about the heart and the liver, "If a devil or an evil spirit trouble any, we must make a smoke thereof before the man or the woman, and the party shall be no more vexed. As for the gall, it is good to anoint a man that hath whiteness in his eyes, and he shall be healed." Now, he's not picking up on any of this because he doesn't know. The gall is for his dad, and the heart and the liver is for Sarah. But he's not picking up on this yet. And when they were come near Rages, the angel said to the young man, "Brother, today we shall lodge with Raguel, who is thy cousin, and he also has one only daughter named Sarah, and I will speak for her, that she may be given thee for a wife. For to thee does the right of her pertain, seeing thou only art of her kindred." So So he's saying you have a right to her because you're her nearest kinsman, redeemer. You're the next one. You have a right to her. You see, like when the oldest brother would die, and she didn't have any, if she didn't have any children, then the next brother in line was to take her to wife to raise up seed to his brother, and so forth and so on, and so forth and so on. And since she can only marry those of her nation and those of her father's tribe, she had run out of people to marry, brothers or whatever. She could only marry of her father's tribe. So there were seven of them that she had, and all of them had been killed. So she had run out of people. So she was, at this point, gonna be an old maid or die unmarried, and to a point where none of her marriages had been consummated. So she had been married, but she was still a virgin. She was still a maid. And so he comes along, and he's being told now by the angel, you have a right to her. Same thing with was it Ruth? Yeah, it was Ruth. Same thing with Ruth. And so he said, you have a right to her. You're her kinsman. So she's going to be your wife. And this is what he's being told by the angel. And so 6:12, and the maid is fair and wise. Now therefore hear me, and I will speak to her father. And when we return from ranges, we will celebrate the marriage. For I know that Raguel cannot marry her to another according to the law of Moses. But he shall be guilty. He shall be guilty of death, because the right of inheritance does rather appertain to thee than to any other. So he's saying that he can't give her to anybody else, without him being guilty of being put to death, because by inheritance you have a right to her, and this is because he's the cousin. Okay. Then the young man answered the angel and said, I have heard, brother Azarias, that this maid has been given to 7 men, who all died in the marriage chamber. He says, so he knew her history. He knew about her, right? Small town, word get around. So he knew about her. Now he's from Nineveh, and he knew this. They're not in Nineveh. They're cities away. But he still knew, because, the Hebrews talk, right? Word get around. He says, and now I am the only son of my father, and I'm afraid, lest I go into her and I die, as the others before, for a wicked spirit loves her, that hurts not the body, but those which come to her. So he doesn't hurt anybody except those who come to her. So she got an evil spirit walking around that's in love with her and kills anybody who comes near her. Wherefore I fear lest I die and bring my father and mother's life because of me to the grave with sorrow, for they have no other son to bury them. Then the angel said, dost thou not remember the precepts of thy father gave thee, that thou should marry a wife of thy own kindred? You didn't forget what your father said, right? You got to marry somebody out of your own family. He says, now listen, hear me. Wherefore hear me, O my brother, for she shall be given to thee as for a wife. And make thou no reckoning of the evil spirit, for this same night she shall be given thee in marriage. And when thou shalt come into the marriage chamber, thou shalt take the ashes of perfume, and shalt lay upon them some of the heart and the liver of the fish, and shall make a smoke with it. And when the devil shall smell it and flee away, and never come again any more. But when thou shalt come to her, rise up both of you, and pray to God, which is merciful, who will have pity on you and save you. Fear not, for she is appointed unto thee from the beginning. And thou shalt preserve her, and she shall go with thee. Moreover, I suppose that she shall bear thee children. Now when Tobiah had heard these things, he loved her, and his heart was effectually joined to her. So I've talked to different people about this marriage thing. Have we seen a preacher yet? Have any rings been exchanged? Okay, was there walking down the aisle with some "Here Come the Bride" music and all of that madness? Have we heard any of that yet? Okay, this is why I tell people, you don't need a minister, because when you get married in today's world, you're following the Roman Catholicism and their protocol. Wow. Okay. It says we're still streaming. Okay, are we back? I think we're back. We got kicked off for a moment there. All right. But I think we're back. Let me just double check and make sure. Okay. It says we're connected. I don't know what that was or how that goes. But let's see. We got a little Mi-Fi going on over here. All right. We're up. We're on. I can see it in the. But you're awfully blurry there. Awfully blurry. I don't know what that is. Let's see if we can clear that up a little bit. See if we can clear that up. Because I'm monitoring on another device. But so the system fell off. We're blurry. Certainly blurry. The system fell off. And then it popped back on. We're back in now. But we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Sorry for the bump and the blip and the interruption. Let's see if we can make this continue on. Hopefully we can. Actually, let's see if we can change devices while we're here. We may be able to do something else. Let's do it this way. See if we can jump in real fast and make this go off. Give me just a second here, family. Give me just a second here, family. Let me see if I can put us on a different device, because this one here says we're on, but it has us very, very sketchy as we're on. So we're going to see if we can make this happen this way. Hold on. Okay, so we're on another device. All right. Let's see what we get. All right, so it looks like it caught up. We're on another device. But it is very, very, I can see me very clear, but you have it very blurry. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's see what we can do about that, Mr. Cobb. Hold on. Let's do this. Hold on. Alright, so let me check it in the playback and see what it looks like. Because it looks fine for me. But in the playback it's super blurry. Okay. Well, you know, this thing doesn't want us to go forward, but we're going to go forward anyway. Right? We're going to go forward anyway. And we left off. So let's see. It said, moreover, I suppose, we're in Tobias 6:17. Moreover, I suppose that she shall bear thee children. Now when Tobias heard these things, Uh, he loved her, and his heart was effectually joined to her. And this is how we know that when we're dealing with someone, um, he hadn't met her, um, but he knew that he developed an affection for her, seeing her, knowing she was still a maid, and his heart was joined to her. So this is how we know that we know we know. Just like back in elementary school, what have you, you're meeting someone and dealing with someone, you only saw them when you got to school. Your love was real. When you had your love was real. So that's extremely blurry. I'm sorry, family, but I can't get it any cleaner than that. But we're just going to read this last chapter, and then we'll pick it up a little bit later on. Okay, so in 7, and when they were come to Ecbatane, they came to the house of Raguel, and Sarah met them. And after they had saluted one another, she brought them into the house. So let's see if we can bring up the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. See if we can make his word see a little better. That was 6. Hold on. Because I think we're in 7. So, and I think we are in 7. So hold on. Let me get to 7. Here we are. Here's 7. Here's 7. Let's see if we can make this any better. Hopefully this will won't be so blurry. You might be able to see that. Okay, and when they were come to Ecbatane, they came to the house of Raguel. That's a little better, but it's still blurry, right? It's still blurry. They came to the house of Raguel, and Sarah met them, and after they had saluted one another, she brought them into the house. Then said Raguel to Edna, his wife, "How like is this young man to Tobiah, my cousin?" So he didn't know that this was his family standing in front of him. And Raguel asked them, "From whence are ye, brethren?" And to whom they said, "We are." To whom they said, so he asked them, where are you from? And he said, "We are the sons of the Nephthalim, which are captives in Nineveh." Okay, so these are, remember, that's what Tobit said, that the whole tribe of Naphtali went into captivity into Nineveh. Okay, so he says, "We are of the sons of the Nephthalim, which are captives in Nineveh." Then he said unto them, "Do you know Tobiah, our kinsman?" And they said, "We know him." Then said he, "Is he in good health?" And they said, "He is both alive and in good health." And then Tobiah said, "He's my father." And that's when Raguel leapt up and kissed him and wept, because this is his family, right? Not only is his family, but he knows now that he's got a suitable son out of his tribe for his daughter. So he's okay with that. And he's like, "Man, now I know, that my daughter doesn't have to be, on her own by herself. I got a suitable man." So in Tobit 7:7, he blessed him and said, "Thou art the son of an honest and good man." But when he had heard that Tobit was blind, he was sorrowful and he wept. You know, our people, they were some crying folk, because Tobit cried a lot every time he turned around and saw one of his brethren dead in the streets. He cried a lot, right? So these were very emotional men, strong men, but emotional men. So don't be afraid to let your tears go, okay? And likewise, Edna his wife and Sarah his daughter wept. Moreover, they entertained them cheerfully, and after that they had killed a ram of the flock. They set store of meat on the table, and then said Tobias to Raphael, "Brother Azarias, speak of those things which thou didst talk in the way, and let this business be dispatched." Let's handle this business right now. So he communicated the matter with Raguel, and Raguel said to Tobias, "Eat and drink and make merry, for it is meet that thou should marry my daughter. It's good that you should marry my daughter. Nevertheless, I will declare unto thee the truth. I have given my daughter." He says, "It's good you want to marry my daughter, but I got to tell you the truth, And he said, "I have given my daughter in marriage to 7 men. who died that night they came in unto her. Nevertheless, for the present be merry. But Tobias said, I will eat nothing here till we agree and swear one to another. He said, we're going to handle this business first, and then we'll sit down and eat. So Ragal said, then take her from henceforth and according to the manner, for thou art her cousin, and she is thine. And the merciful God give you good success in all things. Then he called his daughter Sarah, and she came to her father, and he took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, Behold, take her after the law of Moses, and lead her away to thy father. And he blessed them. And he called Edna his wife, and took paper, and did write an instrument of covenants, and sealed it. So now here is the marriage decree. They began to eat. After Raguel called his wife Edna, he said unto her, Sister, prepare another chamber, and bring her in there. And when she had done as he had bidden her, or told her, she brought her there, and she wept. And she received the tears of her daughter, and said unto her, Be of good comfort, my daughter. The Lord of heaven and earth give thee joy for thy sorrow, and be of good comfort, my daughter. Because she was afraid another man was going to die, marrying her. She had already been, the maids had already been talking about her and everything. And so she was afraid that another man was going to end up dying, because of her, and that she was never going to be married or to have a successful marriage. But that's not what happened. That certainly isn't what happened. And we're going to pick this up again when we come back to it. We're going to reset the system, and then we'll come back to it again. And as we come back to it, we'll make sure that we can do it. And I want to tell you that this system is, it's playing, it's funny, it's doing its funny business all over again. But that's okay. We're gonna keep doing what we do. To let's see, device is not connected. Wow, that's crazy. The device is connected, but it doesn't want to seem to do what it's supposed to do. But we're gonna keep pressing on, and we'll make sure that we get some action here somehow. Even if we have to reboot the system, we'll certainly get it. But it seems like, every time we get into something good, right, that the system decides that it just doesn't want to act right. Did the same thing last week. I was on a completely different machine. This is fallen angel technology. This is not ours. We're just using it right now for the time being. You got to know that when the Father gives us what we're going to get out of this, then it's going to be all good. It's going to be all good. Let's see if we can go this route, and we'll try it again, see what we get. And like we did last week, it might, or just a couple of days ago, it might just take a couple of times of going at it. But even if it takes a couple of times of going at it, that's not good enough. It needs to be stable. And a lot of us, we're not going to get stability out of this madness. It's not gonna do it. It's not gonna do it. Okay, family. Well, that's what we got for you right now, and we'll pick this up again maybe in the morning. It's 11:41 in the p.m. wherever you are. I'm on the west coast of the United States of these America, and we'll just leave it there for the time being. Well, I hope you got something out of that. Think about it, and pick up some of those golden nuggets. We ran across a few tonight, and we'll get some more in the meantime on the morrow. So thank you, family, for hanging out. I do appreciate that. Just don't know why we can't get this system to operate the way we want it to operate. But nevertheless, we'll go out looking at the moon over my lake, the beautiful moon that it is, hiding behind those clouds. And we'll see you on the other side. Now, don't lose your faith. Maintain your faith. Mishpakan. Do not lose your faith.